that wonderful imprecise introduction. I was born in Buenos Aires. I don't think it deserves a cheer. It was a very difficult place to be. When I was in elementary school, we didn't have time to frame the president's picture because there will be a new one by the time we were done. The shop was done with the frame, and there was military intervention every few years. So the military would toss each other the power, and it was very difficult to live there. People will. Anyway, very sad story. And the inflation was ridiculous. Something you probably heard about, Uganda or East Germany, way in the middle of the last century, that they couldn't print money fast enough. Well, I remember going to the movies and paying 200 pesos, and then I went to the movies in September, and I went next year, and I paid for the same ticket 20,000 pesos. So imagine the inflation. Actually, I remember taking a local bus, just a few stops, and it was 6 million pesos. And of course, everybody had a 10 million bill, handy, and so and the bus driver gave me change for 10 million. So the inflation was so rampant that there was an ad in the paper, let's say 5 pounds of flour cost 85 cents. So the ad came at 5 in the morning in the newspaper. So you go to the supermarket and it was already 95. The ad just came out. It was already 10 cents more. By the time you went to the shelf and brought it to the cashier, it was already 10 cents more. The official inflation was 1,500% a year. Yeah, we can't. So, no more cheers for Argentina, please. I appreciate that. I was a monk. It was a very convoluted story that I told the Music Meditation Club at USC last Monday, where I was living in the jungle. I had an epiphany. They just to not irritate the sensibilities of some, and maybe newcomers. How many newcomers do we have? Oh wow, that's a lot. So yeah, maybe you want to cover your ears now. They asked me not to say anything like God or religion. So every time if I talk about God, I'm going to say Bob. And instead of religion, I'm going to say sports. So you'll catch it like that. I don't know. I try not to irritate or step on anybody's toes or sensibilities. But for me, I do. I'm not ashamed. I do believe in God. I believe there's an intelligence behind everything, and they're offended by that. I'm so sorry, guys. I was born before you, so shut up and listen. So here's what happened to me. I was young, a long time ago, and I had many philosophical discussions with friends and not many with family. My family were not very philosophical. They, I don't know what they do. I'm not sure. Not really sure. They weren't sure. So there was no mention of God, religion, Bob and sports at home at all. Then somehow or other, that's not how I grew up. And I wasn't very interested. I didn't think that, truth should be what I call limited to one entity, Bob. And somehow, eventually, as I was, and I'm not going to give you a snap of the story, I was sharing a joint with a few friends of mine when I was living in Uruguay, and I had an epiphany. I had a revelation that there was superior intelligence to mine. That was a revelation. Anybody could be more intelligent than me. But I started. I believe that there was an intelligence even superior to what is humanly possible. So that's the first time I was made aware of the presence of God. So, somehow, I tried to share this experience with friends of mine that they were, sharing the joint, and because I thought it was a collective kind of experience. That everybody was feeling the same, thinking the same, and they were in a completely different location. Just I don't know what they were thinking. Probably they were at the time, and so I felt a little lost because I thought, well, things start to make sense. I mean, to me, I was a searcher. I was always looking for stuff. I was always looking for what's the meaning of things, why do we die, where do we come from, all that stuff. And the idea that there was a God, to me, it was intriguing because I never even put 5 cents into this explanation. But no one could connect with me at the time. My friends were completely no, and family. What happened to you? We found sports. So I felt very lonely, very alone, and following my instincts. Not recommended. I mean, you can follow yours, don't follow mine. I heard that there was an abandoned hippie village somewhere in North Brazil in the jungle, so I made my way there, and I lived there by myself for about 6 months with only water and coconut water once in a while. So I was actually, very serious, and only came out to become a monk. That was the only reason why I left that place. The place was wonderful. It's there, but it's not an abandoned place anymore. There's a bar. It was near a fisherman's village, which is now a resort with Michelin star restaurants and hotels and stuff like that. So at that point, I was a monk for a good 17 years.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. Yeah. Even 2 weeks is quite a long time. Now these monks, they didn't eat meat, fish, or eggs. They were completely vegetarian, which I appreciated. I mean, my diet was coconuts and water, so I was also on that diet, but a little less opulent, I would say. And they didn't practice. They were celibate, which I was fine with. I thought, that's a good idea. And because, come on, you get horrified when you see that the makeup industry is a $1 billion industry, but you must be buying mascara or something because they're still selling it. So this idea that the attraction of the sexes is the center of the universe, I wasn't convinced. And I had girlfriends, so I've seen it personally. Maybe my girlfriends weren't that good. No. But anyway, I was fine. Then they didn't gamble. Gamble is a waste of time. I mean, like speculating and playing around. And also, they didn't take any type of intoxication, which to me that was difficult because my epiphany came through intoxication. I was smoking a large joint, a la Cheech and Chong. So I actually adapted quite well to that lifestyle. I was living in northeast Brazil, and then I understood that searching implies that you know what you're looking for, because otherwise the search is meaningless. Really, what are you searching for? I don't know what you're searching for. How do you know that you're going to get the right product if you don't know what you're looking for? So, let's say you're looking for gold. but you don't have any idea what gold looks like. So somebody gives you a bowl of granolas. They say, this is gold. Oh, great. Yeah, no, you can get cheated. So a search to become meaningful has to have a beginning, which is, what are you looking for? What do you want? Do you know what it looks like? What do you want? So my search was, I wanted to understand the absolute truth. But I didn't know in what direction to go, where, who to get it. So up until then, and I was in my 20s by then, I was 23 or so, I hadn't found a it was kind of dead ends. You go for a distance and then you stop and you have to go back. It's like this guy that has a super pumped up car, and, the right clothes, and, expensive glasses, and he's just driving around and making a little noise in the car and waving at everybody, but he's going in the wrong direction. He's going towards a dead end. So eventually he will have to turn around and drive by and hope that nobody sees him going by. So this is what I was doing, just turning around and in shame and the dead end. So the idea of Bob was interesting because I didn't know. I had no idea. And it was a good start because if it panned out, if it was true that there was a Bob, then good. There must be something behind it. So let's check it out. So being a monk, it was there was prayer, and but prayer wasn't boring. Like oh God, give me this, give me that. Not a shopping list of prayer. It was, what can I do for you? Out of love. That's prayer comes out of the heart and should come out of love. It's not. I think Kennedy said this. What country can do for you, but you can do for countries. One of those things. So that's when love comes in. It's like, not what I can get, but what can I do? What can I do to please you? That is love. So I was interested. And prayer wasn't boring, and there was chanting. There was this kirtan that we just did. That was very prominent, and the food was great. The cook was not interested in health, but so she fried everything, and it was just fatty and juicy and sweet, and everything was great. And I gained so much weight. Yeah, because I was living in the jungle, so I was weighing 130 pounds. And then a month later, it was 160 pounds. I'm not so happy with that, but anyway, it was great. But I was still searching, and I'm still searching. It's not like I'm looking for something I don't know what it is. Now I know what I want. But the process takes a while. You have to be patient because things don't come easy, especially good things. I mean, if you, let's say you're interested in helping people by practicing medicine. So you can just rent a few videos of ER and visit medical center and the old shows and learn the Dooley Hauser and Dr. Kilder, Ben Casey, and all those medical shows. Nurse Jackie, no, that's about it. So you actually learn the lexicon, learn the terminology, and you start speaking like a doctor. But you're not a doctor. You are not qualified to give medical advice. So in order to become a doctor, any pre-med students here? No? Yes? Oh. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. Hopefully soon this race will be extinct. Yeah. The medical industry should take care of trauma and stuff like that, but they can't give you advice on anything. As a matter of fact, I did a fast last year, and I told a friend of mine who's a doctor, and we played table tennis together, and I said, I'm on a fast, I'm going to do a 21-day water fast. And he said, you're going to die. This is a freaking doctor. I don't understand it. yeah, so it's not a good thing. Try something else. So if you want to become a doctor, you have to study for many years. Many years. You have to study a lot of disciplines that you may not be very happy with, right? Yeah, biology, anatomy, and chemistry, and all this, terrible stuff. You learn all the names of every bone, every muscle, and everything else in your body, and then tell people that if they fast, they're gonna die. It shows your ignorance. So, if you want to become a good anything, you have to really apply yourself. So let's say you want to know about the nature of the self and the universe and God, and what do you do? Is it just a hobby, something you do on weekends, like you do the crossword puzzle, or no. Whatever you do, the more subtle it gets, you have to put something into it. And you have to put your heart. You have to put your heart. Because your head is not enough. And we know. A lot of you are students, so the word cramming, explains that you don't really want to know. You just want to pass. You just want to get through this, horrible thing that is happening to you. And also, I was remembering that when I grew up, I'm much older than you, so I can say any damn thing, and you guys have to suffer for it. Yeah. I had to actually learn stuff. I had to remember things, like capitals of the world. You can Google now, yeah, but it doesn't mean you know it. You know how to Google, but you don't know the capital of the world, of a certain country, yeah? Do you? Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe you guys are just, brainiacs and you know everything, and I'm just speaking out of line here. What's the capital of Australia? Let's choose an easy one. Canberra. So all the Sydney people, they can leave right now. Yes. No, it's not Sydney. Sorry. So people don't know. you guys are proving my point so quickly. Thank you so much. That you can Google, but you don't know. And then my time, I had to remember. Actually, my father said, if you learn the periodic table of elements, he offered me some money. So I just learned it. I was able to, know every symbol, and also the era, Cenozoic, Mesozoic. You only know Jurassic, I bet. You don't know anything else, just because of the movie. So, you see, there was no Google, there was no computers, there was no emails, there was no ADD. Basically, there may have been ADD, but your father just slapped you in the face and ADD was gone. So things are different now. Technology brought good things. I admit it. Very good things, and also brought some bad things. Like, for example, everybody can express their opinion to the world. Yeah. Have you read some of the comments that people write and postings? Oh my God! Come on, they voted Trump into office. Seriously, it's a horrible thing. Sword with double-edged sword that may actually cut you. So, what is essential? What is essential? What are we? Are we these machines that walk around and try to get ahead in life? We are actually very small, very tiny, very fractional art of spiritual essence. I call Bob, you call divinity, universe, nature, whatever you want. So we are spiritual. We are of a spiritual nature, which means that none of the mundane characteristics are present, like death, old age, disease, birth, all these things. The spirit doesn't undergo this kind of tribulation. It is a tribulation. It is uncomfortable to this. It's pretty uncomfortable to die as well. My wife used to volunteer at a hospice where people are dying, active. And I don't know what kind of morbid fascination she has, but I find it a very disturbing moment, because it's not because of the transition that everybody has to die. Everybody has to leave this body. But it's the fact and how people react to death. That is, they want to hang on and hold on, and what's the most important thing? What do you have? Okay. Let's present an example. There was a time I was reading a book from India called the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's one of the Puranas. It's a fantastic book. I mean, it's a series of books. It's like 60 books. And written in Sanskrit many thousands of years ago, conversation between sages. I mean, really high topics, nicely defined. And it all started because a king was cursed to die. So he was actually lucky to know that he was going to die in 7 days. I mean, the curse was going to come through. We don't know. We have no idea. When are you going to die? You don't know. You may die, according to average, you may die in 50, 60, 70 years, maybe a lot less than that. And we don't know. But the king knew he was going to die in 7 days. So, let's take a little survey here. If you were to die 7 days from now, what would you do in the last week of your life? Any hands? I'll let you. Go ahead.
I would read the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. And
consume it.
Consume. What do you mean, just as food?
Yeah, internalize it.
Okay. Reading the Bhagavad Gita is not a bad idea. Okay. Any other things? Go ahead.
I would hang out with my grandma and garden with her.
Okay.
Yeah, I love her. And hang out with my nieces too.
That's very nice. But your grandma cannot help you.
It's okay. I'm just being with her is
It
amazing.
can't. Well, but your grandma is also gonna die. So she can help. Yeah, I know. Bad news. It's like the example of a man who is drowning and sees a dog swimming by, and he grabs the tail of the dog and think, oh, okay, I made it. No, the dog is gonna die soon too. He's gonna drown. So what do you do? Serious. What do you do? You have 7 days to live. What do you do besides gardening? Besides reading the Gita? Go ahead.
I would travel across the world to experience life as much as I can.
You're not experiencing it here?
I can, but I would like to explore
Expand your horizons.
different cultures before I would die.
It's interesting because I travel all my life. And I actually love to stay at home. I've been to 15% of the world, and I know because somebody sent me one of these maps with a list of countries in each continent, and you just have to cross which places you have been to, and then that's a percentage of how much have you seen. So mine came out to 15%. And I like to stay at home. Now, it's nice. The idea of traveling is very appealing. Matter of fact, when I was young, I actually worked in a travel agency and worked as a flight attendant because I wanted to see the world. But I only started traveling after I quit those jobs. Yes?
So what I would do is I let go of all the things, whatever I hold. Like I just hold so many things right now as if I'm going to live forever.
So you will do a garage sale?
Just take whatever you want. Meaning all the conditions are gone.
Okay, let me present a philosophical point there. You really, if you actually, when you die, you have to give them up anyway. Were they yours to begin with? So you don't have anything to give up because you have nothing. Yeah. These things are not yours. Go ahead.
Similar to what you said, I think I would want to travel, but usually I have this fascination with cities. I would probably go into nature instead.
Nature.
And I might fast as well.
Fast. Why?
To experience the pain before it happens.
The pain before it happens. Oh, interesting. So you know there is pain associated with it. Yes. Well, go ahead. I'd like to hear more, and then I tell you what the king did.
I think I would, other than spend a lot of time with my friends and family and go into nature and things like that, I guess prepare for the fact that I'm gonna die. Just like
Prepare. How do you prepare?
make peace with it, like 100%, and just
Okay.
start writing everything down. Maybe start writing a book of my life or
Why
something.
don't you do that?
Doing
Wait.
something.
It's a good thing, but you're gonna die. So why don't you do it now? Eventually you're gonna die.
Well, because you said that I have a week.
No, but maybe you have less than that. Maybe you don't even have a week from today.
That's fine.
So you should. They say one should practice. One should practice spiritual austerities. One should practice spiritual austerities as if one was gonna die tomorrow. That's how one should live. And one should do business as if one was gonna live forever. Like Warren Buffett, yeah. So I'm not trying to dissuade you from your plans. I'm just trying to open them up and see, there's when you open the napkin, there is some more writing to it, than just a brand of it. Any other idea? What we got your idea? Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I think I would just keep doing what I've already been doing, because even if you said, like, what if you die in 7 days? What if there's even a possibility that I could die in half an hour?
Mm-hmm.
But I can never be sure. That's always a possibility. So I might as well just keep living in the way that I've been enjoying.
But if you look back, if you have the hindsight, did you actually live to your full potential?
I feel like I have been.
You
lately.
have.
Yeah, I'm very. If I die in 15 minutes, I would be totally okay with it.
Alright. Well, okay, take a couple more. Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
I would do Vipassana.
Okay. For what reason?
Just to get to the truth.
Doesn't
Vipassana is
matter what you
meditation. Vipassana, I would just meditate.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I would go make a list of things I fear and go at them with everything I got, knowing that when my time does come, I went out doing everything, like overcoming the things that I was so afraid of my entire life.
It's like an AA meeting, You have to correct all the mistakes you have made. Well, anyway, I'll tell you what. I'd love to hear what all of you have to say, but we are limited by time. So I'll tell you what the king did. If you want to hear. Yeah. Okay. The king decided to give up his kingdom first, and it was not small. He had a large kingdom, he had a lot of dependents, he had family, but he gave it up and went to the forest where he heard that there was a gathering of sages, and actually sat in front of the sages, and one particular sage was the head. And he asked all the pertinent questions about a person should ask before they die. Like, who am I? Where am I going? Why do I have to die? What is Bob? What is the soul? Etc., 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 etc. So I took a quick survey before, when I was reading the book many years ago, and most, of course, I didn't ask smart, spiritually minded people like you. I asked just regular Joe and Jane, and most Joes said they will party until they die, and most Janes show until I die.
Wow.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm not making this up. I couldn't make this up. My imagination is not up to this. So this is called materialism. Materialism doesn't mean you will shop until you die or you party until you die. Materialism means you believe wrongly that you are the body, but we are not the body. We are not the body. So we have a case of mistaken identity and amnesia. We have forgotten who we really are. Okay, now let's tie it up. Can you please? Yeah, I lose my concentration because I'm old. So sound is very important. So this process begins by sound vibration. This is how you actually reconnect with your real self. Because when you're asleep, sound will wake you up, right? Alarm clocks. Once I was living in New Haven at the time. It was the 80s, and I needed to buy an alarm clock because I didn't wake up naturally. And I had the choice between a brown German voice activated, which was state of the art at the time. Then you just say shut up, and it will stop. That would be the snooze control. Just say quiet, and it will stop. And 5 minutes later, will start sounding again. And there was another one, came in the shape of a baseball. It was inside, and you threw it against the wall. And it's short. So when you're asleep, the way to wake up is by sound. So when you are spiritually asleep, the way to wake up is by sound. This is a concession given in this age for people who are unfortunate. Manda sumanda makayo. That's Sanskrit. It says people at this age will be very unfortunate. Short memories, poor intelligence, they will live short lives, they will quarrel for no reason. And this is announced 5,000 years ago in some of the literature I was reading. They knew what was going to happen. It's not going to be good. So the concession is you get some mantra, the mantras such as this one, and by chanting the mantra and by hearing the mantra, you raise your consciousness and you get rid of all these material desires that are impeding you from seeing yourself. Because you can actually see the world as animals see it, as a place to eat or sleep or defend yourself, fear. We can see it through the eyes of God. And it's a nice place. It's a really nice place. But you have to open your spiritual eyes that are inside. It's like science tells us that we only use 2%. Is it 2% of the brain? 2%. Huh?
2% at a time.
2% at a time. Okay. So eventually.
You do use all parts of your brain, so that's the misconception. But you're using 2% at a time.
Okay, so 2%. I had an interesting experience with how the brain works. I'm a competitive table tennis player. I'm a coach as well. And I was playing with a partner. We were just practicing, and all of a sudden I felt some pain, like a nerve, some wrist. So I said I have to stop. I know this will go away. This is just a temporary pain, but it was very uncomfortable. So he said, "Well, I don't want to cool down. So why don't we play left-handed, so that we can still move around a little, and until your pain goes away, and then we switch." I said, "Yeah, sure." So we were pretty horrible. Well, we were both right-handed, so we played left-handed, and just like a couple of beginners. I grew up in a family where my father and his two brothers were first division players, and my cousins were all, they all took lessons. They got private coach and club coach, and so did I. So, playing with the left hand was like quite a letdown. It was horrible, missing a lot of shots. So eventually the pain went away. I said, okay, pain went away, so I'm going to switch again. And when I put the paddle back on my right hand, it was as if I had never played the sport before. My brain did not want to adjust. It was like I lost muscle memory, knowledge of the game, everything. It was like as if I was playing with my left ear. It took a little while, the brain switch. So, the brain is not used as it should. We have the potential. But potential sometimes doesn't mean anything. Like Hitler had a good potential as an artist, but obviously didn't use it. He did something else that caused a lot of havoc. So let's not rely on potential. Let's actually put it to good use, and therefore, mantra, the process of bhakti yoga, mantra meditation has been given to all of us, regardless of what you believe or don't believe. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. It's good. Like, a grape is a grape to anybody, no matter what sport you practice. In any sense. So a grape tastes good to anybody. So the process works. It works for everybody, regardless of your beliefs or your habitat, or your financial status, or your upbringing, or what you like best, and so on. It works. The process works, and it's been tested. Since the sages gave it as a concession to us. I say a concession because there used to be a lot more difficult paths to follow to achieve a similar result, like fasting. People were saying you will fast. Fasting is painful. I can tell you. I did a fast recently for 6 days, no food, no water, and it was really bad. It was difficult, to say the least. I felt great afterwards, not during the fast. But I believe it's very good for your health, very good. And also, it strengthens your will. I like anything. You have an iron will. If you can not eat or drink anything for a week, wow, you can pretty much do any damn thing. Nothing can stop you at that point. So it was good to test myself like that. Also, there's fat in the cells, and the body not receiving any water will draw the water from the fat cells, and therefore, when you replace it, when you start drinking, if you drink very good water, spring water, purified, then that will be the water. The body's 70% water. The body will replenish, and there is life in water. This Japanese scientists have shown that there is, really life in water and snow and everything else. So your memories and your traumas and your childhood and all this stuff is somehow registered in the water in your body. So if you replace the water, things get a lot better, mentally and physically and so on. Anyway, I wanna just end the little talk chat, asking you to please participate. I see that you guys are into it, so I don't have to encourage you any further to chant, because chanting is wonderful. I've been doing it for 40 years. It's great. I don't think I'm gonna have a good voice, but I do have a musical inclination, and let's use it to hear these mantras and to chant these mantras. So when somebody is chanting and it's not your turn, try to hear all the way from the ear to the heart. And when you chant with your heart. It's hard to chant with the liver, so just chant with your heart, put everything you have, and you will get the benefit. You will actually be very happy you did. And we deserve to be happy, but we have to actually do the right thing. It's not enough to feel good. You actually have to become good, and then you will feel good. So, thank you. I would like to take some questions if you have any. Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Related. You said that you realized that there was something Bob.
Yeah.
When you were smoking weed or whatever.
Yeah.
So my question is, why?
Where did I get that weed?
Why do you think, despite that being the source for you asking the right questions, why do you think that you were supposed to, like, why do you think that the monks asked you to stop? And what convinced you to finally make that decision?
Well, the girl that actually introduced me to the path, she spoke in a way that nobody ever spoken to me very clearly. You're not the body, you're the soul, all things that I've said, some of the things I've said. But I never heard that stuff before. Maybe many of you have heard something like that. I had never. And so I said, who does practice this lifestyle? And she said, the monks do. And what? Okay, so monks. So I thought, monks, restrictions. What don't they do? So she said, no meat. I'm fine with everything. But when she said no intoxication, wait a second, wait. You don't mean pot, because to me, pot was the door that opened wide to see, reality behind this Wizard of Oz crap, right? She said, no, not even pot. Anything that distracts you and makes you any type of intoxication. And then I asked very sincerely, so how do you get in touch with Bob if you don't have the weed? And she said mantras. And well, it was in California, so weed was illegal, even though in Brazil everybody's the mantra, you can take it, the dogs and customs once sniff it, they won't sniff the mantra, you can take it anywhere, it's free, lightweight. Yeah, it's very convenient. And if somebody tries to sell you a mantra, say no thanks. Mantras are free. So when you chant the mantra, you actually get in touch. Is Bob's 800 number. Yeah. Call Bob. Yeah, 800 mantra. 1-800 Bob. Go ahead.
There's many mantras out there.
Yeah, thousands of them.
Yeah. So would you give advice to someone to find a mantra that resonates with them?
Well, there are different mantras, and that depends on what you want. You see, if you want wealth, if you want fame, if you want, good wife, good husband, none. There are mantras for everything, but there are mantras to heal, the biting of a snake. But there are mantras that are transcendental, that they're more, they don't have that kind of hanging that you do this, you get that. This mantra, for example, is considered a maha. Mantra means a sound vibration that delivers the mind from anxiety and misery. And you develop love for God. And this particular mantra is, they're the highest, most intimate names that you get the most benefit from. So if you have to, let's say if you're stranded at a desert island and you have to carry something with you, what will you carry? So this is the thing to carry. Yeah. If you had nothing else, this mantra will work. You can't forget. It includes every other mantra. That's how powerful it is.
Could you jump from mantra to mantra, or do you recommend sticking?
You can, but that's called eclecticism. I don't think you want to end up there, because then you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'm a chef, and a friend of mine, he thinks himself a chef, and he takes the spice and that and this and that. It's a mess. It really doesn't work. You have to have the basic knowledge, and then you can actually get refined. So if you chant this mantra, you get more and more refined. This is all you need. Just take it with you, chant it all day. If you could, it would be wonderful. If you chant all day. Once I went to a seminar about the names, the mantras, and so on. And I have my own japa, which is like a rosary, like beads, where you actually keep all your senses engaged. Not just the hearing and the mouth and the ear and so on. You just keep your sense of touch also engaged. So you chant, and this is what you do privately. This is your own individual practice. It's a good discipline. It's very cleansing. So I made a vow many years ago that I will chant a certain number of these beads, and I said not to chant less than 16 times the entire rosary, a full mantra on each bead, and there are 108 beads. So it takes about an hour and a half, may take 2 hours, and those who were born Latinos takes less because we speak. We speak very fast. So we're going to do it in less time. So one of the days in his seminar, we were supposed to chant instead of 16 rounds around the rosary, 64, 4 times that amount. See, I am restless, and since I can't sit down and chant, I will fall asleep. Even if I just woke up from being in a coma for 14 years, I will just fall asleep at it. I couldn't do it. So I have to walk. I'm a pacer. So every time I chant with my beads, I just walk back and forth. And I was thinking, I walk for a couple hours to chant 16 rounds. If I have to walk for 8 hours, that's very tiring. It's very tiring. And I don't know if I can make it. So I will try anyway. So the next day, one of the days you're supposed to chant that many rounds, I started chanting. I started feeling completely like an out-of-body experience. The more I chanted, the less I felt identified with the body. I was just having such a blast. So eventually, by the time it was time to go to bed, it was about 9:30 p.m., I chanted 96 rounds. I was just fired up, that's what they say. And I didn't want to go to sleep. I did have to, because there were classes in the morning and more practices, and you had to get up early and so on. So I did go to sleep. And but it was extraordinary. The more you chant the mantra, the better you feel. And the more it happens, it opens your eye. Why would you want to do that all the time? It's because of the nature of this world. It's distracting. There's a lot of illusion. There's a lot of stuff that you don't need, but it's like advertisement. This world is like a giant Times Square. Everything is bombarded and advertised to you. Buy this, do this, stuff like that. This will bring you happiness. This will bring you happiness. Oh, this will bring you happiness. And you just chase them like an animal in the desert. Chases a mirage. They're dying of thirst and they see some water, but it's not water. It's not really water. But they find the bones because they keep chasing and there's no water. So this world cannot satisfy us. Nothing in the world can completely fulfill our desires because we have incredibly vast desires. Our capacity for enjoyment is almost unlimited. So you have to find something unlimited in order for your enjoyment capacity to be fulfilled. And this world cannot provide that because there's a beginning and an end. And everybody else wants the same thing. So there's a lot of competition. So spiritual life rules. Yeah. Well, anything else?
I have a quick thing of yeah, thank you. I'm just like a little concerned about the alarm clock analogy that sound wakes us up. But I think yes, some people wake up from sound, others wake up from the light, others wake up their body is rested, and to me that just shows me like yes. Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
What is an analogy? An analogy is a simile. It just explores a particular set of circumstances to put light on another one. They have no relation. So if I use a bad analogy, my bad. I'll find another one.
But for me the analogy was helpful. Like
it was.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, for showing that like mantra is perfect for some people to wake up. but other forms of meditation or asana is perhaps better for others?
The problem with asana is that, after you practice for many years, you want more. You want more. You need more. You feel lack. There is no love in it. Asana. Okay. You were able to sit in full lotus position or put your left leg around your right ear. And what? Where is love? And if there is love, and you have a relationship of some sort, a loving relationship, like you have a relationship with your parents, right? Imagine you want to satisfy your parents, show them the love that you have for them, and you start, doing asanas. Are they really going to be pleased with you? I mean, what kind of, are you really showing your love? So therefore, when you do mantra meditation, you're doing a process that actually God likes. Is actually good for you. It's not just sports. It's not just ball. It's actually common sense. If you do it, the proof of the pudding is in the taste. So you try it. You don't give up other things. You see, you don't give up the asanas. You don't give up running. You don't give up studying. You don't give up cooking. You don't give up any of that stuff. You just add something very positive that fits in every activity, every realm of activity, and you will see it enhance. It's like, for example, we all go to see a 3D movie, but only and the glasses cost $1, and half of you don't want to buy the glasses. You're gonna miss the special effects. So this world is full of spiritual special effects, but you gotta get the glasses. Otherwise, you will just see the blurry picture, and you will know the plot, but you won't get the special effects. So just get the mantra, chant away, do your asanas, do your fasting, do your gardening with your grandma, do whatever you like. As long as it's nice, it makes you better. It's like boring. That's for old people. No. Why do you go to school when you're young? Because it's a time for education. So why do you learn about spiritual life when you're young? Because it's also the time for spiritual education. So you can use it. So you can make your life successful. Because even if you get a wonderful family and a ton of money, you're going to be miserable too. Because your karma will go up and down and toss you around like a rag doll. So at least be prepared and have some spiritual credits. Because even if that happens, then you won't be so affected. You'll be happy in any circumstance. All right, let's come to the end here. Thank you so much. So now we're going to put it to practice. We'll chant a little bit, and there is a dinner prepared for all of you. I'm fasting today, but you guys don't have to. It's wonderful stuff. Make it a habit. And if you're, I saw there was a lot of newcomers. If you had a good time with me, imagine next time when someone nicer comes, you're gonna have a much better time. So let's chant a little, yeah? Now you can stand up and stretch, Let's go to the middle.